The Do This podcast is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network. Join Bob Stewart and Chad Himes as they delve into the art of scaling a real estate business with Shonna Ruble. Shonna is an amazing real estate professional and the leader of the #1 real estate team in Montana. Shonna shares how she transitioned a team of 6 to 17 agents in months, discover how she uses virtual assistants for operational efficiency, and learn her approach to creating and adapting systems collaboratively, driving both agent engagement and business growth. Shonna shares how to foster team accountability, creativity, and competitive spirit. We hope you enjoy this episode of the Do This podcast presented by Brivity.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Just Do This. Chad Himes, he's always ready, and but you didn't come here to look at him. I know that. You came here to listen to Shonna.
Who's there on my screen, at least. I don't know.
Down here on this corner of mine.
One for you. Back. It's very
Shonna,
confusing.
welcome to our call. Thank you for doing this with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And I know this is special because you run a massive business. And the fact that you're taking a half hour out of that massive business to share with our group here is we're very thankful for it. But do me a favor, introduce yourself to our folks here and let them know like why you're here and tell them a little bit about that massive business. I know you're super you're not the type to be out there shouting about how many homes you guys sell. Yeah, you're super humble, but just once. Make sure everybody understands kind of the depth of the business you've built.
Yeah, so we're here in Montana, and we do have the #1 real estate team in Montana. And our business, I'm actually really excited to see how we grow in 2025 because we went from having just kind of about 6 agents up to now we're 17 onboarded fully licensed agents. And we started that transition back in August. So our business is, hopefully will grow even more, but we do 100+ transactions a year. And yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Okay.
Wait. Did you say you went from 2 to 17 agents and you didn't start doing that until August?
We went from 6 to 17 agents. And
so
then
11 agents you've grown in 6 months over there to grow your business from here to there.
Correct. And the fun part is we did not create an SOP to recruit in. We started that in August, so we did not actually execute recruiting agents until October. And then we now, like I said, we have 17 licensed, ready to go, and we have 5 more that's going through our onboarding training program right now.
Everyone should know it, yet you used an acronym in there, SOP. Tell them what it stands for.
That's our standing operation procedure. I don't even know if that's really what it's supposed to stand for, but that's what I think it stands for. So that's what we do. And everything at Shonna Key Team has that, from how you show up to an open house to how you answer the phone, how you convert leads. Everything has an SOP built in around it.
I am the happiest man in the world right now hearing that. Right?
So just so you know, I am not wired that way. Like, I am not organized whatsoever, but everybody around me has to be organized. So I don't want somebody to be like, oh, I love this. You probably geek out over Excel. I would love to geek out over Excel if I even knew how to work Excel. Okay. So let's just don't come up to me and talk to me about Excel because I couldn't have that conversation, but everybody around me has to know how to be organized.
All right. Look, I would imagine, Shonna, that bringing in that many new hands on deck created a little bit of chaos, even, whether we had SOPs or not. So tell me, what have you guys been able to do then to kind of manage that level of growth that also kind of helped the business grow, not just the agent count grow?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think we actually have to go back and look at our business, how we shifted in 2024, to really understand that. So in the end of 2023, going into the 2024 market, we actually had 36% growth also in 2024. And that was with our 6 agents. And just so you guys know, is we actually had agents, but we'd kind of let go of them because they just weren't producing. And we kind of restructured our team at that time. And so I came back ready for 2024 and I was like, okay, I would go to these events. Like Bill Howe is a great example. You had a Brivity training, Bob. And on there, you kept talking about calls and speed to lead and actions that the agents need to be taking. And I went back and I was like, okay, so if those actions will grow my business, and then I look at the agents and I'm like, and I'll just be honest, like, and I am an agent, but I was kind of like, why am I training these agents and knowing that most agents leave within 5 years? How can I create a system built around operations to do that and not have to rely on my agents? Because as much as I love them, and I would tell this to their face, like they're lazy, right? Like they will work consistently for a week or two, but they won't continue to be consistent. Or if
I mean, that person's a unicorn. Like what you're describing is a unicorn, right? Like we find that person and then they're consistent for a year. They're a 70, 80 deal a year producer, which is just unheard of, right? I mean,
and then also like we expect them to pick the phone up at 7:30 at night because I would, but I'm the ones paying the bills. So I really had to stop and I was like, okay, how do we change how we do real estate from an agent perspective? And for me, it was, I did not want to give real estate agents or the agents in my world the power to control how much money I make. And so what I did then was I built out our VA team, and we already had VAs. And I know a lot of people probably thought like I had a meeting. No, it was, I grabbed my phone and I said, hey, Joan, this is what we're going to do. And I did a voice message and I said, I want somebody tracking my leads from 6:30 in the morning to 11:30 at night. When a lead comes into our team, what I want you to do is I want you to text all the agents and I want you to say, hey, we have a lead that just came in. Can you work this lead in under 3 minutes or less? If they hit Y for yes, then I want you to go to a round robin sheet and see who is up next. And then I want you to give them that lead. But here's the thing. If they do not call that lead, text that lead, context that lead at least 3 times, then that lead is pulled from them. They've not earned the right to keep that lead. And then what I want you to do is for the next 12 days, if they don't call, text, and email, then that lead is pulled. And also, they are not to come to me and say, hey, the VA's pulled my leads. I want to make sure we have a system where the agents know what the expectation is around this. And so that's what it looked like. And the agents know, like, you have to communicate with them for 12 days. Now, granted, somebody's going to be like, that would not work because you've got showings and you have all this. Yes. So our agents can let the VAs know, like, hey, I am going to be out of town tomorrow showing. I will not be able to call that lead tomorrow on day 5, but I promise I'm going to do it on day 6. And our leads team, like I said, I have 3 of them. They're from 6:30 in the morning till 11:30 at night, 7 days a week. They're watching. And if that agent does not do what they're responsible, then we just pull that lead and give it to a teammate.
Okay. Wow. Right. Love that. I want to just get into just systems in general.
Okay.
Because everybody wants systems. I mean, nobody wants to follow them. They all want them, right? They all say, give me systems, but I don't want to follow them. What they usually do is they reach out to Bob, they reach out to me, they reach out to whoever, and they say, give me the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a system from someone and then modify it? Or did you just build a system and say, this is what it's going to be? And then how long did it take you to fine tune that system? Because I think a lot of people think, oh, if I don't have it perfect, then I'm not going to ever build it. But I got to imagine the system you're running today is not the system you were running 2 months ago when it comes to an open house or when it comes to leads or whatever it is. Talk more about the process of generating a system, modifying before passing on that system to everybody else?
Yes. So I think to even answer that question, we even have to go back even further about our expectations around our VAs. And you're going to hear me talk about virtual assistants a lot because they run Shonna Key Team. And so what happened was when I would create a system, and I will be honest with you, like when I always wanted to create systems, and I even have like a thing framed over here talking about like how systems make the ordinary extraordinary. But what had happened is I would try to hire VAs and it would never work. And I realized I was the common denominator. And so I was like, okay, like let's figure this out. So once we got a VA, I realized like what was my frustrations. I hate for somebody to ask me how to do something when I've already showed you how to do it. And so I was like, okay, first system, when I have a VA, what we're going to do is when I ask you to do something, if you don't know how to do it, I need you to set up a Zoom, send me a Zoom link, and I'm going to click here, here, and here on my computer. And then you are going to take that back and you're going to document it where a kindergartner will understand. Click here, go to the bottom left. And then what I will tell you is you're not allowed to come back and ask me how you put a listing on the MLS because I did it and I broke down in a video everything that you might run into. And so instead of coming back to Shonna, what I'm going to tell you to do is go back to the video and the SOP we created around.
I mean,
that.
it's not his playbook, but that's right out of Ben Kinney's like playbook, right? I don't know that he created that playbook. Absolutely, right out of his playbook. Like he's like, if I know I'm gonna end up doing this thing 100 times or showing him even twice. I'm gonna record it once and there you go.
So I did not know, but I promise you, I've probably heard that from Ben, and I thought I created it, but it makes sense. So I operate like that.
And he's happy for you to say it's your idea. Don't worry.
No, it was, but that's kind of, I was just like, okay, I'm not going to do this with you. And then also another thing that is really big for me is I hate when I would tell my team or my VAs, like, I want you to do this. And like 3 or 4 days later, like, I want things now. And then I would get on a call with them, like, hey, where we at on this? And like, oh, I had a question. I'm like, what do you mean you had a question? Well, I need to get some clarification. I'm like, BS. Like, no, that's not how it works. If you have a question, it's your job to get that question answered as soon as possible and not wait for me to check in on it. So that means as a VA, you have the right to hold me accountable. Meaning if you have a question about something I asked you to do and you're stuck, your job is to send me that question every 30 minutes until I respond. And if you do not send it to me every 30 minutes and you don't get the answer and I call 3 days later needing that, then that is your fault because I gave you permission to hold me accountable and keep asking that same question and force me to give you an answer.
That's so good, Shonna. Like you're really thinking through, like you're unpacking the failures you'd had with VAs before, right? You're like, look, the failure was they'd sit here and wait for me to show up and check in on them. And so you're like, I'm going to do a process. And you give them permission to be annoying, right? Yes. And I mean, that's so smart. And then you give them ownership of the whole thing. Like at the very end of the day, that you own that thing. And here's the way that you can be annoying or the process to get the answer you need. That's so good.
And I tell them, like, if I stress you out, because I tell them I'm going to be your biggest stressor. But if you're stressed out because of me, then that means you did not do your job. Like I'm telling you, if you need something, then you call, you text. We have Ring Central for a reason. We actually have our VAs set up in our office on TV screens. So they can see me walk down the hallway and say, hey, Shonna, I need this. Or, hey, I just sent you something in Slack. Can you look at it? So you have all the opportunities to get my attention. So if you're waiting on something, that's on you.
So you literally have screens. It's like they're there And
Yes.
they can actually see you walk by, and you can see
Yeah,
that
they see when I come into the office, they're in the office next to me. And what I love about it is they hear me talk about something, and then they'll be like, "Hey, Shauna, I heard you say you needed this. Let me know." So they're constantly knowing what's going on. They're also in the bullpen with their agents, so they can hear our agents talk about their transactions, their deals, their leads. And so they're all on there watching it, and they're incorporated in our
I
business.
love that.
Okay, first, Chad, how did you know that? Was
Well,
that
she
in our
said
show
it. I
notes?
heard her say it just because
Okay,
I'm paying attention.
Picked it up. That's unbelievable. Like, they're in your office. I've never heard that before. Samantha's
Yeah,
like, technically, could you tell us how you set that up?
Yeah, so we have a Zoom that runs every day with them, and there's a Zoom channel. And then we have our TVs. There's a TV in the main office, like so they can see the computer, like that's the main computer, and that's computer that was an old computer we had in a desk that nobody was using. I was like, hey, put them on Zoom on that. And so they can see what agents are in and out of the office. They also have our office manager and our onboard trainer right there. So they have hear every call that's coming in and everything that's going on. And then we have them in the bullpen. When we do training in the training room, we just carry the computer in there and hook it to the bigger TV. And then the office right next to mine, if I need privacy, I can shut the door, but most of the time that door is open. And so they can hear everything that's going on in my office to make sure that they're staying on top of everything we need.
Chad, are you laughing because you're picturing Shauna carrying around the big computer tower?
I'm absolutely picturing.
Oh, I mean, it's a laptop. It's a laptop.
Oh, okay,
so it's like easy just to carry.
That is what I was absolutely just watching these three heads being carried as she's taking VAs to the meeting and all that kind of stuff. I want to ask a completely off topic because there's something else that's got me laughing and smiling. I'm noticing over your right shoulder, you have a nice one. Your left shoulder, you have the colors. What are the hourglasses?
So that also came from our friend, Ben Kinney. What you don't see is behind me, it's framed. It says, "I do not need the story." And so whenever an agent wants to come in and be like, "Oh, let me tell you what's going on," I stole this literally from Ben. I will be like, "How long is this going to take?" And they're like, "Oh, 5 minutes." And I'm like, "All right, well, here, we've got a 5-minute one. Your time has started. And by the way, I don't need the story. Don't forget that." And that's all they have is, so they have the little hourglasses. And I thought that was crazy, but it really works. And they know, like when I start that timer, that's it. Like, let's go. Or if I have to get the frame and I get the frame and I just come and sit it in front of them, they're like, "I'm telling you the story." I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm zoned out. So let's get to what you need."
Chad wants you to know that Ben stole that from him.
Absolutely.
Free credit for that.
I told right. But that's the beauty of this world, this industry, right? It's like she's sitting here going, "I had this great idea. I'd make a video of it and I'd send it." She goes, "Oh, wait, that was from Ben," right?
Yeah.
I remember the day teaching Jolene to put this damn hourglass on your table. When they come in and go, "Got a second?" You flip it over and go, "Yes, I do." Right. So I love how some people take it, some people don't. And I was sitting here going, that's got to be the hourglass system for the people who talk too much when they come in and they want your time. Folks, it's a great way to get rid of the "gotta seconds."
Yes.
That's so good. Shauna, the couple people now, Jonah and Samantha, where are your VAs from?
So my VAs are, so I hired my first set. Well, first of all, let's just say, like, I'm not going to mention their names, but I bet you there is not a VA company that you give me their name that I have not tried, first and foremost.
I'm thinking about VA companies and things they should be doing.
The one that helped me the most to get over my limiting belief was Brivity VA. We utilized their white glove service, and they brought Jane into our world. And every one of my VAs have started as a data scrubber, and they've worked their way up. So now we don't have like a director of operations in-house. My director of operations is a VA. My listing manager, my transaction coordinator, my leads team, marketing team, they're all VAs. But it did start with Brivity VA was my first VA that I had success with.
Thank you for that. I don't know. David connected us, so I assumed that somewhere in that answer was a Brivity VA. But you've gotten them from other Like you've gotten them from other places as well. But you said you had failures before, and I think it all comes back to, and maybe you'd credit Brivity VA a little bit with this, is helping you kind of put a process around those people. And right, like, I mean, it's all about that working process. What does it look like to work with that VA? And you even figured out how to get them in your office, which is unbelievable.
Well, for me, it was, well, one, I think by the time I'd gotten to the point of Brivity VA, I had swore off VAs. Like I will be the first person to be like, they don't work. They're a waste of money. I would have probably been the most negative person around that because I had tried it so many times. But what I will say is when I found Jane, it was great because I was already in that mindset of like, I'm the issue. But what I really liked is when I would be like, hey, I want this done. She didn't know how to do it, but Brivity had like a success coach on their back end, like to coach them. And so she could take all my crazy plans I had because I knew there was a way to do it in Brivity. I just didn't know how to do it. And I did not want to take the time to show her. And she could go back and Brivity's, coaches would teach her how to do it. And it just snowballed from there.
That's awesome, using the tools that are available. We hear a lot about that. I want to keep going on the VA, but I also want to go back to systems because I think, right, it's the foundation to so many things because now a new agent comes on the team. There's no questions. It's here's the system. You're going to do an open house. Here's the system, right? You get a phone call. Here's the system. But
time out. You can't just go tell them that, right? Like you have to have somebody that has those systems documented. And then you have to have like an onboarder, or for us, we have an onboarder and a success coach that our agents have to go through orientation on. Absolutely. And they also have, all the systems are there for them to go to. So if they have a problem, they go to Trello and they click here. How do I do this? How do I do this? So everything has to be built around systems, but you also have to make sure those systems can be accessed by your team whenever they need it.
Okay. Now, how often are you changing them? Like, will an agent come back to you and say, oh, we needed a step 3B. It was missing on this show.
They're being changed every single day.
And I want everyone to hear that, right? It's okay that they're being, the market's changing every day. The seasons will change. So open houses will be different in the winter than they will in the summer. And it's okay to change the systems, right?
Yes. Yep. And we keep our original system. So like sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, we made a mistake. Let's go back to it. But what we also allow is our agents to say, hey, I think we need to change this, or I think we need to add this. Then my director of ops will then send it to me and say, hey, Jake recommended this. I will look at it. And then I'll say, yes, okay, let's create an SOP and let's get it out to the team.
Can we go back to the part where you were talking about like some of the standards and accountability for your agents and the fact that your VAs, I think this is a massive gap in almost in a big percentage of the businesses out there, is this holding the agents accountable for what the business is delivering on their behalf, right? Like you are delivering leads, you are delivering those opportunities for them. And so many businesses go, here's the lead. And then maybe they come back 9 months later and they look around and they're pissed because nothing's been happening with these things, right? And so you guys have, how much of the accountability do you put on your VAs to hold your agents accountable? And do your agents respond to that? Like
all of it. The VAs are in control. Prime example, our VAs go in every morning and they look at how many people visited our website for that day.
You're speaking my love language.
And look at market reports. Our agents by 8:00 in the morning, they have that list. And the VA sends them and says, hey, John Doe went to the website. John Doe looked at properties twice, and they get that report. If they do not call or text and email that person, because we also data scrub, the VA's data scrub and find out extra numbers and email addresses. If the agent does not reach out to that person and call, text, and email the first day, they get a warning the next day from the VA saying, hey, at 5 o'clock this evening, if you do not reach out to this person, this lead will be pulled from your account. And they have a warning. They have a choice, right? They can say, I'm not going to work it and pull it, or they can say, oh my gosh, like they're pulling my lead at 5 o'clock if I don't call, text, and email. And so and it never comes to me, right? Like a lot of people's like, my agents would never do that. Well, my agents hold the other agents accountable. They're like, hey, I do this. What makes you think you don't have to do it?
Yeah, here's the other thing about that, right? Let's say I got 3 agents on my team. Me, you, and Chad are all on the team. And Chad's over there sitting on this lead, and he's not going to call it. Like,
Right.
I'll call it. Give me the lead, right? Like, Chad's taking money out of my pocket, potentially, if he's not going to call. Like, I want the money in Chad's pocket. Please, Chad, go call your lead. But if he doesn't call it, he's robbing you and me, Shonna.
Yeah. So we have it framed in our office. We say, like, we succeed together and we fail together. So how this conversation would look was like, Chad, what if a lead came in to Bob and Bob did not call that lead? And then they go and tell their friend, like, hey, I asked for a lead from Shonna Key team. They never responded back. I wouldn't use them when Bob's going out for a listing appointment. Your lack of action created Bob not to be able to get a listing. Do you see how that works? So if you don't
like
call
Bob,
that lead, then you failed your team and you hurt Bob's family. So we have a conversation around that. And so they know, like, there's no like, oh, no, don't get me wrong. Sometimes they're like, I'm on vacation. The VAs will work those leads for them behind the scenes. But the agent has a report and they know to work that report every single day. And if not, Chad's getting the lead or Bob's getting the lead or whoever.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant system and a great way for accountability. I'll give you another little tip. If you want to help your agents with their scripts, I don't know how well you do scripts, right? I was on a team a long time ago before VAs were a thing. I'm that old, folks. I was on a team that we had to call our scripts into a phone number that was not answered before 8 a.m. every morning. Could do it at night before you went to bed, but you had to do it before 8 a.m. because when the staff members showed up at 8 a.m., they checked the voicemail. And if we hadn't called in our scripts, we didn't get leads all day for any of the new opportunities that came in, right?
Yeah.
So there's also a way for you to be able to help them doing their scripting, folks, all of this stuff by using your VA to be the one who's holding them accountable because they're the one who's controlling where the leads are going and who's getting following the round robin system. Don't fear putting the systems in place. Just make sure everyone knows what the systems are.
Right. And another thing, if you create a system, you got to realize that system's got to be for the whole team. You don't get to say this person doesn't have to do the system and this person does, right? Like then you're going to create problems. Our team is, I don't care if you sell one transaction or if you're an agent on my team, you do 36, like everybody has to follow the system. Like the system is made.
I feel like it takes a lot of confidence as the business owner to draw that line, right? Because a lot of people
that 36 agent deal.
I don't want to scare them off. I don't want to scare that 36 deal agent out.
Special or something like that. I don't have to do that, but you also don't want to scare off someone who's got the talent. You're absolutely right, Bob.
Right. Well, sometimes you have to shoot a hostage every now and then, and we've done that a few times. And also, you cannot be held hostage either. And for it to work, I think for systems to work, one thing I will tell you that we're good on is I let the agents also have a buy-in and a say in a system that we're changing.
Okay.
So we have our team meetings Monday morning. It's a non-negotiable year to be there. And if we vote to change a system, like if we're really going to change something big and you wasn't here, then your vote don't count and you don't get to complain about it. You know the expectations. But if we're going to say, hey, we're going to change it to these open house, and this is an example of what we did, is you host an open house, but you don't call those people back by Wednesday, your open house leads are pulled from your account and given to the other agents. So when we're doing that, like, you got to introduce that to your team and then say, okay, well, what do you guys think? Well, then they're like, well, I think by Wednesday, by the time I call, they've already forgotten about the open house. I think it's, if you don't call by Tuesday, you don't have any intentions of calling. So I think you need to move it up to Tuesday. And so we create that, and they're the ones who help hold each other accountable, because we make it a very competitive office. Like, literally everybody knows everybody's pendings, GCI, it's on a big board. Every month we have a competition. So they want to steal those leads from their, teammates. And so they actually have that buy-in. Once we lock that in, then it's created an SOP and everybody has knowledge of it. So I think if you are going to go changes and being a leader, you don't get to go in and be like, this is how it's going to be. You actually have to say, okay, here's a problem we have. This is how I envision it. Now I need you to poke holes at it and tell me what I'm not seeing, because I'm not out there doing this with you. And oftentimes your team will actually tighten that up and fill those holes to where that system actually works seamlessly.
Wow, this was like a 30-minute masterclass in leadership. There was a whole bunch of really good leadership nuggets that you dropped throughout here, Shonna, like alongside of the kind of process-based stuff that we talked about and how you use VAs to transform your business. Amazing stuff. Like, thank you so much for taking the time. I assume your VAs are in the background listening to us on here because they're in your office. They can hear
y'all. Yes.
Okay. Well, hey, great job back there helping the Shonna Keys team be the #1 team in Montana. Shonna, thank you so much for taking the time with us today to do this.
Thank you guys
we really
so much for having me.
Hey, everybody, we'll see you next week. Shonna, get back to work. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.